You can get what you want if you return home. The two sons. The story begins by saying that a certain man had two sons. The certain man, of course, means God or the universal spirit. In this, as in all his other parables and teaching, Jesus was showing the relationship between God and man, between universal mind and the individual mind. He was pointing out that the individual's power and proximity to the Spirit depended largely upon his consciousness of the divine presence and his cooperation with the law. He was showing that it is only when man and God are in perfect harmony that man attracts the best things from life. The more intimate a man's relationship with God, the more power will he express, because he draws upon the limitless resource of heaven. So when Jesus said, a certain man, he means God, the universal mind or creative spirit. But why did Jesus say that this certain man had only two sons? Why did he not say that there were millions of sons or that every human being was a son? Well, he had two very different reasons. The first was to show that the relationship between man and God is a relationship of freedom. Man is God's son, but he is also an individual. He has the power of self-choice. He can act on his own, live on his own, and think or do as he pleases. The second reason was to show that there is but one power in the universe, the changeless and unconditional power of God, and but two ways of using it, either as a son toward God or as a prodigal toward yourself. Life as Jesus taught it is neither good nor bad. It is simply divine energy. The energy that is turned into sickness, limitation, suffering, and want in no way differs from the energy that finds expression in health, plenty, peace, and every other form of good. The difference is not in the power nor in God, but in the thought and will that divert it into constructive or destructive channels. It was Jesus who taught us that there is but one house and many rooms. In my Father's house, he said, are many mansions. Actually, the prodigal son and the older brother were in the same place at the same time. One wastes his substance in riotous living, the other wastes his life in selfish thinking. They were both prodigals in the sense that both were reckless or extravagant with life. As someone has said, the attitude of both sons was commercial. The younger son wanted an overdraft. The older brother wanted to open a deposit account. God is not a supernatural banker whose chief business is to pay out money, but a loving Father who daily resurrects, recreates the image of perfection, and supplies human need. Thus the difference between the prodigal son and the elder son was a difference in attitude. Prodigality, as we have already said, is everything, thought, word, feeling, or act, that diverts or separates us from the love and power of God. Most of us spend too much time looking for God and not enough time letting Him find us. We find Him not by looking for Him, but looking away from self. We find Him by putting ourselves in the way of being found by Him. That means stop running away by thinking outside of yourself. If God is omnipresent, everywhere equally present, and instantly available as Jesus said, then we find Him by recognition and realization. He turns to us as we turn to Him. He finds us when we are absent from ourselves. The power always present, but what it does for us and to us depends entirely upon our relationship and attitude toward God. It always will be to us what we are to it. That is why Jesus said that there were two sons and not many. He is talking about the two possibilities in everyone's thought and faith. He is talking about you and me as individuals. The son is both free to think as he pleases and do as he chooses. Otherwise, he could not exercise a real state of sonship. The prodigal son did not purposely start out to wreck himself, nor to ruin his career. There is no indication that he was a criminal, nor was he abnormal in any way. He was, on the contrary, strangely like you and me. That is what Jesus is bringing out. Man is an individual and can do as he chooses. He can think what he chooses to think, do what he wants to do, and be what he wants to be. It is all up to the individual and the way he uses his mind. He can fill his life with blessings or curses, with desirable things or undesirable things, according to the nature and trend of his thought. If man enters into God, then God will enter into him. Then lifetime ventures will not end in frustration and defeat, because God and man working together can do things which neither can accomplish alone. In complete unity with God, man will never suffer lack or limitation, because he will be in constant touch with the source of all supply. Man's needs will then be supplied automatically. With his thoughts on God and with the right patterns in his mind, he will head toward his ideals, and they will head toward him. That is what Jesus meant when he said, I and the Father are one. And again, my Father worketh hitherto, and I work. Man and God working together make an unbeatable combination. When man is God-centered, he not only is assured of success in his undertaking, but he is made immune to the ills of the flesh.